In this challenge, you'll be adding functionality to the pirate game that we've been working on for several videos. You'll be adding hidden treasure, town features, and opponents. A town feature will affect the health of your pirate. For example, if your pirate runs into an alligator, you may want to subtract health points. If he finds a freshwater spring, you'll probably increase his health. As your pirate finds loot, each item should increase his score. Each town will have different loot and different features. In this challenge, I want you to abstract some of the functionality of your pirate player to a combatant class. This means you should make a copy of pirate, calling it combatant, and place it in the pirate package. This class should be abstract and contain most of pirate's fields like name, weapon, and game data, as well as methods related to these fields. The pirate class should extend combatant. You'll also create a couple of other combatant classes such as islander and soldier. You should seal the combatant class. For the town loot and features, you'll create 2 enums, both with constructors. The first loot defines pirate treasure, such as gold coins or pearl necklaces, each with its own worth that when found will increase your pirate's score. The second enum feature should describe some town features that will either add to the pirate's health or subtract from it. Features should have a health value, positive or negative, so that when a pirate runs into this feature, his health is adjusted accordingly. Some examples of features might be an alligator with a large negative health value or a pineapple with a small positive adjustment. Use a record to create a town with the fields name, island, level, loot, features and opponents. For the last 3, use any collection you wish. Create a compact constructor to initialize randomized lists of loot and features. These lists should contain only a portion of the ones available on each enum. You should also add an opponent or 2 in this constructor. Next, you'll add a custom constructor that takes a name and additional items to be tracked in the game data map. At least one of the opponents should use their weapon when your pirate uses his. Randomize part of the use weapon method so that opponents only occasionally hit each other and deduct points from each other's health accordingly. Change Pirate Game's load data method to load up a list of town instead of strings. Change your game's menu items to include a find loot option and an experience town feature option. Change your code so that a pirate only visits a new town after they've found all the loot in the current town. Okay, so I'm back in the game console project, and the first thing I'll do is create the new enums. All my types will be created in the pirate package. The first enum is loot. And I'll set up 5 constants for now, each with its worth in parentheses. First, silver coin for 5 points. Next, a gold coin for 10. Gold ring for 125. Now, a pearl necklace for 250. Lastly, a gold bar for 500 points. And I'll end the list with a semicolon. I'll add a public final int field named worth after the constants declaration. I'll generate the constructor with that field. Next, I'll generate a getter. That's all I need for loot. I'll just copy this enum and paste it in the pirate package, calling the new enum feature. I'll use IntelliJ's replace function to change all references to the worth field to health points, turning off the case matching and selecting replace all. I'll just change the H in get health points to uppercase. Next, I'll remove the constants from that. I'll add new constants for some of the different things a person might encounter or run into on an island. Alligator will be minus 45. Aloe will be 5. Jellyfish will be minus 10. And pineapple will be plus 10. Snake will be minus 25. A spring with fresh water will restore 25 points to our pirate's health. And lastly, let's say sun poison will be minus 15. That's really it for the feature enum. Next, I want to create my combatant class. I'm going to copy the pirate class and paste that, naming the new copy combatant. I'll make this abstract. I'll go through and start removing members that wouldn't apply to the other players. I'll remove the towns visited field. If I look at the initializer, I think I'll just have the average combatant have two mapped fields, health and score. I'll remove level and town index, since those are specific to a pirate. I'll also remove the call to visit town here. Scrolling down, I can keep all these methods all the way down to the use weapon method. I want to change that method first to take a combatant type and opponent. I'll remove the current statements that are there. Now I'll add code that will let opponents use weapons against each other. I'll set up an if condition next. Here I'll use another method on the random class that just gives me a random Boolean value back. If that's true, I'll say my player was hit and print the opponent's name. Next I'll adjust the opponent's health. I'm going to make that negative so it will subtract the weapon's hit points from the opponent's health. I'll print out the name and health of both opponents. I'll add 50 points to the combatant's score. If false came back from the next Boolean method, I'll print that the player missed. I'll return the opponent's health from this method. If the opponent is killed, this will return true. Right below this method, I'll remove the visit town method. That's a method specific to a pirate, so it shouldn't be here. I'll also remove both the toString method and visit next town, the last two methods in this class. I want the combatant toString to be much simpler, printing just the name, so I'll generate that. I'll replace the statement that's generated with just return name. In addition to the toString method, I want another, and I'd like it to print out more detailed information. I'll make it public, return a string, and call it information with no parameters. I want to make one more change to this class, and what I want is a second constructor, so I'll scroll up and generate one below the current one. I'll select the first two fields highlighted. I've got an error on this constructor because I'm trying to assign a value to game data, but it's final and initialized by the instance initializer. What I really want to do is add keyed elements that can be mapped. I'll remove that assignment statement. Instead of assigning data here, I'll first check that the argument's not null. If it isn't, I'll add the map that's passed to my current game data. This is mutating the game data map by adding new key values, and in this case, it's a desired effect. Finally, I need to change the modifiers on any method that sets or adjusts the game data, so I'll make all of those protected. This lets my subclasses use them. Okay, that's the combatant class. This should simplify the pirate class quite a bit, so I'll edit that next. First, I want this class to extend combatant. I'll replace implements player with extends combatant to do that. Again, I'm going to go through and delete a bunch of stuff. First, the fields. I'll remove all but towns visited. I'll add a couple of new fields after the towns visited field, a list of loot, a list of opponents, and a list of features. These will get updated every time a pirate moves from town to town, so they'll be changing constantly. I'll next delete the constructor, which has errors. I'll regenerate a constructor, selecting only name. I'm going to change this constructor's call to super. I want to include a second argument, a map of additional fields a pirate will have. I'll pass a call to map.of and include level with an initial value of 0 and a town index also initially 0. I'll also call visit town from that constructor. I'll remove the instance initializer altogether. I can remove all of the methods that are on pirate, so I'll remove the name method next. I'll remove the getter and setter for current weapon. I'll remove the methods that manipulate game data, so value, set value, adjust value, and adjust health. The use weapon method has a compiler error because current weapon is private on the parent. I'll replace that with a call to super.getCurrentWeapon. I'll leave visit town alone for the moment. That brings me to the toString method. I'm going to remove the annotation and rename this method to information. On line 43, where there's errors on name and game data, I'll replace that statement with the following. These changes made the pirate class a lot simpler. I'm going to make this class final, one of my 3 options if I'm extending a sealed class. Before I make any further changes to this class, I'll seal the combatant class. I'll add the sealed keyword before the abstract modifier. If I hover over the error showing, I can select Add Missing Subclasses to the Permits clause. That'll generate the clause for me. Right now I only have one class extending combatant, and that's my pirate. Before I add any others, I'll first go to my pirate game class and override the print player method, which just prints the toString method on a player. I wanted to use the new pirate's information method instead. First, I'll just return false. Next, I'll print the data I get from the information method. I'll get the player using the index and chain a call to the information method. Now I should be able to play my pirate game. It won't be able to change towns since I changed the use weapon method and removed visit next town from that. In this challenge, the pirate will visit a new town after finding all the possible loot for that town, but I'll be implementing that a bit later. Before I run this code, I'll uncomment the last 3 lines in the main method. Running the main class's main method, I'll enter Tim for the player name. I'll select I. That gives me the current town and Tim's game data as it did before. The basics are still working, so that's good, and I'll select Q to quit out of that. Next, I'll create 2 more classes that extend player. First, I want a class named Islander. I'll add extends combatant to that declaration. I get an error on this because I need to have a constructor. I'll generate that, selecting Create Constructor Matching Super, picking just name for the field. I'm going to add a weapon parameter here as the second parameter in this constructor. I'll call the setCurrentWeapon after the call to super. I still have an error because combatant is sealed. I'll add Islander to the permits list. Next, I have to decide if this is going to be sealed, non-sealed or final. I will take IntelliJ's hint and make it final. I don't plan to extend it any further. Next, I'm just going to copy this class and paste it, naming it Soldier. If I hover over the error on combatant, I'll pick Add Soldier to Permits list. Okay, so now I have 3 subclasses for my sealed combatant class. If I examine that class, you can see that IntelliJ did indeed add Islander and Soldier to the Permits clause. I think this is a good place to pause in this challenge, ending this video here. In the next video, I'm going to implement the town record and put this all together so our pirate can find loot, battle with combatants, discover town features and navigate to other towns as well as the next level. That sounds like a lot, but it should go quickly, so I'll see you in that next video.